to naturally luxe, redefine. Deeply rooted.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for that round of applause. Um, Welcome to this fireside chat with Mark Lukowitz, President and CEO of Supima, and designer Rahul Mishra. This session aims to give you a window into the upcoming collaboration to be showcased at the next edition of Lakme Fashion Week in partnership with the Fashion Design Council of India. Please welcome on stage Mark Lukowitz, President and CEO of Supima. Mark has been building the non-profit promotional and marketing organization for the American Pima cotton growers since 2003. In the past, he has served as council chair for the Better Cotton Initiative. Presently, he also serves as an advisor to both the executive committee and the board for Cotton Council International, and as an advisor to the board for the US Cotton Trust Protocol. Welcome, Mark. And now for a man who needs no introduction, but I shall do it anyway. A warm welcome to Rahul Mishra. The first Indian designer to showcase at the Paris Haute Couture Week. He champions slow fashion and traditional Indian crafts. His eponymous label, with 5 stores in India and a thriving national and international distribution channel, finds its genesis in the ideas of sustainability that present fashion as a tool to create participation and empower the local craft community of India. Welcome, gentlemen. Our panelists today have one thing in common. They both share a deep personal and creative connect with the cotton fiber. Rahul Mishra's first ever Gen X collection in 2016, which I've had the pleasure of witnessing firsthand, showcased handloom cottons from Kerala, the Mund most specifically. Rahul, can we begin with you talking about your earliest memories of working with cotton and how it appeals to you as a creative and a designer?
Hi, everyone. So I think as a designer, first ever, work which starts with muslin fabric, that's also cotton. So cotton is, which I would say is a medium which gives reality to a dream. When you dream of an outfit, when you think about making it, first thing is you always interact with cotton to understand. So it's not because cotton or muslin fabric, which is cheaper, but it's also because it's in abundance. At the same time, even when you cut it, it's completely biodegradable. It goes back to land. And even when you're experimenting in terms of silhouettes, construction, I think it also works really well. Now coming back to my classroom project, which was a Kerala handloom collection, which I showcased at 2006 at Lakme Fashion Week, almost 19 years, maybe going to be 20 years very soon. So yeah, that was a beautiful journey. Like I tailored most of the clothes on my own, and with help of one tailor, created the collection from our design studio at an ID. I was studying, and yeah, it had been a wonderful journey since then. And how this weaving or or this legacy of cotton and connection of cotton with craft of India has been the deepest. So when you say cotton is a white gold of India, and cotton is the reason why British also came to India, what kept them interested in India as a country. So yeah, there's a long history of cotton and a long history of craft in cotton in the country.
That's interesting. Mark, I believe cotton is in your DNA. Could you tell us a little bit about your passion for cotton and your journey to your role at Supima today?
Thank you, Kimmy. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for all attending tonight and listening to our story. So mine started a long time ago with my mother. She was born in Poland, and she grew up through the Second World War. Didn't have very much at that time, and the one of the earliest memories I have is of her always inscribing in us, the children, that there's a value to durability. There's a value to good-made craftsmanship. There's a value to things that last a long time. And then my father had bought a cotton gin in South America, in Paraguay, for his brother. And after I graduated college, I went down there and I started in the cotton business, and that was back in 1990. So from the very early stages, growing up in Canada and Toronto, the white fluffy stuff I knew was snow. And then I learned the white fluffy stuff to be actually cotton. And then tying that all together in terms of the durability, the performance, the comfort, the natural luxury, the responsibility, the natural aspects of cotton have all tied and come full circle now to my role in Supima.
And at Supima, you explained about your acre project. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So as a fiber, we take a lot of pride, our growers, in terms of how they grow the cotton, the practices that they impart to ensure that's as sustainable as possible, minimizing resources. So there's less fertilizer used, there's less pesticides used, there's less water used, there's less soil erosion, there's protection of the soil health. All of these factors are taken into account in terms of the production of the cotton. And to ensure that the cotton actually is used and ends up in the product, we developed a hybrid system, the first of its kind in the industry, that takes digital blockchain traceability for transparency, and then we use a forensic science for physical authentication, so we can prove that the cotton actually used in the product has made it into the final goods. So in the cotton textile world, we now have a system that really provides honest and truthful credibility for the products that are made with Supima.
That's interesting. The forensic science might require a different session altogether to explain it.
Completely.
Okay. So on paper, Supima is about global innovation, like you just explained, while Rahul Mishra, while being an international name, is rooted in local craft. What really makes this collaboration click? What are the common touch points between the two brands? If Rahul could begin.
So I have to also highlight this. Cotton as a fiber, we don't realize how deeply it is rooted in our Indian tradition. Even when a child is born, the first external touch is cotton fiber.
As a swaddle.
And when you die, you are wrapped in cotton fabric. So from beginning till end, this fiber stays with you. So in that way, I'm sure about it, not just by my own collection. First, it's for every designer, first garment ever made is in cotton. For, I'm sure, many Gen X designers, even apart from me also, they have done their first collection was with cotton. When you look at khadi, primarily is hand-spun, hand-woven cotton, and then there can be any fiber which is hand-spun, hand-woven. So the idea is, India has got a large, long history with cotton. Even if I give you example of Aurangzeb's daughter Mehrunissa wearing Dhakai muslin, and against sun in the evening sun, I think when Aurangzeb saw her, it looked like she hardly was wearing anything apart from some see-through fabric. So she was called by her father. He said, "Why are you not wearing enough clothes?" In fact, she was wearing 7 layers of Dhakai muslin. So you're talking about a heritage of India weaving 600 to 800 counts of cotton. So in that way, when we start looking at cotton, we need to understand is the most luxurious, most abundant, most rhythmic textile to nature. And what Supima is doing really innovation in making large staple length, creating the beautiful flow. Like even with this is 2 days, in 2 days of time, we were working with my team. I try to look at how cotton behaves when you tailor it differently, because normally for tailoring you always think about it has to have wool or it has to have some man-made fiber to fall in a certain way. But for these two outfits, we just knowingly we want to experiment in creating corsetry or creating those volumes which look very fluid to unsand. Like cotton can fall almost like silk, or maybe can fall like wool, because it's the most, and that's what Supima is able to achieve.
It's in the treatment, you mean?
It's in the farming, I mean.
Okay.
So I don't think it's just for treatment. Yeah, maybe you can
Yeah,
correct.
the cotton itself is, because of its length and its strength, can be changed in terms of how it's manufactured, in terms of the yarns and then the fabric constructions. So it has its own life, so to speak. So, relative to your question, it's nature, it's people that bring this collaboration, this collection together, because we touch so many lives. Cotton, fundamentally to the world, is very incredibly important, because there are so many people involved in not only growing cotton, but then in the spinning of cotton, in the manufacturing of fabrics, the manufacturing of apparel items and home textile goods that supply in the world, and much of what you're wearing now is made with cotton. So the world of cotton has a huge impact. So for us, being able to share a story and collect a story about the beauty and the luxury of what cotton is capable of doing is really what the initiative and message is about.
I like the idea of how it impacts people, which is something Rahul has spoken about extensively as well. I think that's something both brands have in common, about how it affects people, how you take people along on the journey.
So I think people have been at the center of our universe. So I always say our brand stands for the idea of 4 Ps. What is the purpose of making another outfit when so many already exist in the world? So purpose often involves, a process. The process that is slow enough to create enough opportunity of participation so the people can participate. And then finally, in end, there's a product. It may be a beautiful, or maybe a nice, maybe a global, local, whatever product you might create. But the intent becomes really, really meaningful thing over there. So cotton as a fiber, when you grow it in a farm, you have to nurture it like a child. When the cotton is growing, when the seed is sown, then after that, it needs to have conducive environment. And then after that, if you spin it by hand to create khadi, or in the process when you put it on hand loom, and that's where, like, if I just say it, I think 90% of India's hand loom produce is primarily cotton based. Even a chanderi, which used silk organza as a warp, silk warp, thin silk warp, if you by weight you go by looking chanderi, it is almost like cotton percentage will be as much as 80%, because weft is always
A
little
lot
more
of other
thicker.
Indian crafts as well use cotton.
Yeah. So idea is extra weft techniques there, but cotton. So idea is, which is such a versatile fabric, such a slow fiber. Because of slowness of it, it creates a lot of participation. It creates a lot of well-being. It is a fiber which Mahatma Gandhi chose for the nation.
Which brings me to my next question. So India has a very rich and slightly complicated history with cotton. It's been part of our freedom movement, our colonial history, and our nationalist identity. But we've gone from spinning khadi to, at some point, experimenting more with man-made fibers. And now we are rediscovering cotton again in its more organic avatar. There's been that little cycle that we've been through. Rahul, could you talk about the stereotypes surrounding cotton in relation with fashion and how you hope to change that?
You know, I think that the fact of matter is when you think India was Sone ki chidiya, what people say, golden bird, I think most of the reference was white gold, which is cotton, in India's context, because India has such a rich, diverse, ideal place to, because before mechanization, everything was getting done by hand. You know, spinning or weaving, everything. So that is a whole entire invention, or Gandhiji also realized it quite early in his time. It was a common man's textile, even till date. It spans from luxury to the banyan which you wear, or a simple t-shirt which you wear. So a lot of times something which is abundance, it means nature has given us this entire opportunity, this entire thing. So in that way, I really feel something which has amazing traceability, something which has amazing cyclability, fits really beautifully with Indian craft ethos. You know, when you look at patchwork, you look at kantha, you look at different craft, even beyond handloom, also there's an abundance use of cotton, which you see over there in threads and every possible way. So in that way, it also gives us, because alone I'm not claiming that we are going to innovate something which is going to change around, people's idea how they want to use cotton, but definitely I think together with Supima, we will bring a lot of attention globally also about the beauty which is often goes very silent, which people do not notice, and the silent power of this humble fiber.
Mark, India is Supima's largest market, am I right? Wow. And what are the challenges and rewards of selling cotton in a complicated market like India?
That's a 13-day long conversation, I think. It's the world is awfully complicated. You know, the cotton history is complicated, like you mentioned. India is definitely our largest buyer of and importer of Supima cotton. And the beauty of Supima cotton is because it is a unique fiber that is long and strong. The American Pima that we grow in the US is the largest single supply of this high quality fiber, which therefore is available year round, which provides opportunities for the Indian partners in the textile industry here, not only for using the cotton to make products domestically for products to be sold here in India, but also to be competitive in the export market for a lot of products. So they're exporting cotton yarns made with Supima or fabrics that are going to other regions to be made into apparel products or home textile products. So the beauty of India, and I think we see this a little bit differently, because of the history that you talked about, cotton has a 7,000-year history dating back to the Indus Valley. And you know, the intrinsic preference that still exists and predominates here in India for the comfort of cotton. There's a huge market opportunity for telling this more detailed, beautiful story around the importance of nature, supporting the local farmers, supporting an agricultural industry with a fiber that's naturally renewable, that's, you know, has biodegradable aspects to it, and then also provides this natural comfort. It's not something that's polluting the world, right? There's no microparticle pollution that comes from that that's damaging to our environment. So there's a lot of benefits and natural benefits that can be nurtured within a designer industry luxury conversation about how to approach things, especially when we're talking about responsibility. How do we approach the world as responsible stewards where we can make a small incremental improvement that leaves the world a little bit better than when we came in?
So that was what I was leading to. Cotton generally tends to get a bad rep for large-scale usage of water, pesticides, etc. So what side of the argument does this collaboration stand on?
On the responsible side. So cotton, if you talk about sustainability, cotton has been sustainable for 7,000 years, right? If it weren't sustainable, if it weren't environmentally reproducible, if it weren't financially sustainable, it wouldn't still exist today. So from a very fundamental purpose, it is sustainable. In terms of where agriculture is today, cotton is grown in a multitude of different nations through a lot of different farming practices. The bleeding edge of technology in terms of how cotton is grown is definitely happening in the US in terms of the most science, the most agronomic approach to try to be a better steward of the land. So it's not necessarily so much about the cotton. The cotton almost is a byproduct of being the best steward for the land. Having healthy land makes you viable. If you don't protect the land and the soil, then you can't produce a healthy crop.
You also spoke about a variety of cotton that Supima produces, which doesn't use a lot of water.
Correct.
Would you talk a little bit about
Sure.
that?
So ELS cotton, extra long staple maybe meaning fiber length, is a very unique species of cotton that represents less than 3% of the world's cotton. And in ELS cotton, the Gossypium barbadense is a natural xerophyte. And a xerophyte is a drought-resistant cotton species that grows these varieties. And when we're talking about the craftsmanship that goes into the farming, if you imagine a perfume is manufactured from scents, and the scents are nurtured out of plants through stress. So when a bee is looking for the best smelling flowers, it wants to go to the strongest smelling flower to propagate the best smelling flower. The same thing happens with cotton. Cotton is producing these beautiful flowers, which then create the seeds, and the fiber is a byproduct from the seed that's grown off the seed, and is used for the cotton plant to propagate itself. So as a cotton plant is growing, when it stresses and is not having a lot of water, that's when it's actually producing the fiber. So you can't give it too much water. You would defeat the purpose of growing fiber because the plant naturally wants to reproduce so that it can spread the seed across a larger land with the fiber being blown across the wind.
That's lovely. Which also brings me to Supima being associated with very technical terms like traceability and sustainability. And for the audience here in Delhi, why should those things matter? Please educate us.
So if you want to understand where your product comes from and the impact that your product has, you actually have to know the point of origin. If you don't understand the point of origin where something comes from, you can't speak to how it was produced, how it was grown, the various steps it goes through. All of these things require very open, transparent supply chains which are honest, which are then transparent such that there's a clarity of information that's transcending throughout the entire supply chain. And that all starts with the very beginning. And if you don't have that from the beginning, you really don't know what your consequences are of what you're supporting.
And Rahul, I remember you saying that you already work with a little bit of Supima. Was it for a few? Tell us a little bit more.
When I was to showcase at Ready to Wear calendar Paris Fashion Week for Rahul Mishra, so I've used Supima fabric a lot for that. We have also done a few things for their Paris global activation. So there's a lot I have worked with. There's a long history between our brand and Supima. So this is nice to do now something in India for our audience also, which is a largest consumer of cotton. And southern hemisphere, somehow cotton is it's almost like food for us. So also coming back to the same thing about water consumption. So within India also, everything has to be done responsibly. Like when you grow cotton, then after that if you do cyclic farming of farming pulses, so the nitrogen fixing bacteria can do better with the soil. If I just share this with you, even the way our farming happens in northern India, of cyclic farming of wheat and rice, this is something which is consuming great amount of water. Our rice on plate is way more expensive than anything possible today which you consume in terms of fresh water consumption.
That's a fresh debate then to be had as well. So tell me, just can you take me through the collaboration process and what we can expect in the upcoming collection?
So we are working a lot because a lot of samples we could not do because I started with hand loom, and when I'm coming back at Lakme with a few Rahul Mishra, so we keep working a lot with textiles, which I was doing pre-haute couture days for brand Rahul Mishra also. So idea is we are developing a lot of textiles in handloom, different handlooms of India, and with Supima yarn. So that's going to give, we are very hopeful, we will be able to create most beautiful muslins, most beautiful textiles out of cotton. Here also, me and my team, we have put together in last 2-3 days of time, we just explored how these fabrics take tailoring, how corsetry takes, how it takes
Which I
like
see in the white piece, the corsetry.
yeah, how it takes. So this is a jacket which is a hybrid version of corsetry, and also creating volume just to understand like how the fabric flows, because sometimes also it's nice to just work with plain weave. All these textiles are plain weave, and once you are able to achieve something like that, it's almost a simple muslin. If you replace with twill weave or basket weave, the entire thing is going to be completely different.
Right.
So it's also like looking at exploring the purity of material and creating something, even embroidery texture also out of material. So this one has got a little symbolic value of dragonfly, which keep existing in last few seasons with us, which somewhat reminds of natural world and some of the leaf motifs and all that. So these are just like basic ideas. And I always say as a designer, making the perfect white shirt is the most challenging garment to produce ever.
I would agree.
So I think in that way, having Supima fiber is going to be a great advantage.
And Mark, what are you looking forward to with the collaboration?
For us, I think it's really a celebration of nature and an expression of the beauty of cotton, and really trying to bring that message that cotton isn't just one thing, right? Cotton is a very complex, beautiful, broad landscape of different qualities, even naturally colored cottons, and then you can expand that into natural fibers. Right? And in the world that we live in, with a growing population of 8 billion people now, the demands of the consumer base are exceeding and stripping beyond the capabilities of natural fiber production. So we want to make sure that we restoke the concept of the beauty through nature and through craftsmanship, because we want to go slow. We want to really have a story around the creativity that starts from the farming, carries all the way through the fiber, through the yarn, through the fabric, and then through the creative concept ideation, from Rahul's side, and bringing that forward in terms of an expression of how beautiful nature is and how we should cherish that and support it.
Right, and Rahul really is our ambassador for slow fashion in India. And I remember he said something really beautiful. He said the idea of luxury is not pricing alone. It revolves around time and patience. And everything that follows nature's rhythm is always sustainable. That's real luxury. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I have to say, like, this is very incidental, like this collaboration with a few Rahul Mishra and Supima. A few stands for air, fire, earth, water. And this all natural elements it takes for cotton to grow what it is. So in a way, it's a beautiful collaboration. And as I say, definition of luxury has to be defined with idea of time. If you see a product, how the product is being produced, how much time is gone into making the product, makes it luxury, and how much time it retains love of its owner also defines luxury. if I just give example, somebody who is probably a child who buys his first bicycle ever, who wipes it every day, takes care of it, there's no scratch on bicycle for a few years, I think that is luxury. On other hand, a person, maybe he buys a Ferrari and he has got already 20, 25 of them, may not be luxury in terms of consumption. In the same way, production point of view, the amount of love which has gone into creating it defines luxury. So here a fiber which takes months to mature, to get produced, then after this time for months to weave it, spin it, and then it takes a lot of time to produce it. So it's not a matter of how expensive the clothes are going to be there, but it's just a nurture and care which creates value for communities, craft, culture, and cotton is what is a true luxury is going to be all about.
Correct. And I think in the future, I think the responsibility also rests with designers to be more mindful and conscious of the fabrics they're using. And which I've seen beautifully at this fashion week, where people are thinking about circularity, people are thinking about what they're putting on their bodies, what they're selling to their clients. So I think that really stands, you are setting a great example. So thank you, gentlemen. It's heartening to see this people-first approach to fashion, luxury at large, and how it unifies your brands. And we look forward to seeing how this creative jugalbandi, like you call it, plays out. What can, you talk a little bit about the jugalbandi and the riffing that you talk about?
Well, sure. So it's a new term for me because I just learned it on a previous call with you. But really, it's a celebration of life, right? It is the fundamental aspects that brings everything together. And it's the relationships, it's the humanity within us that ties us back to the origins, bringing the cotton forward, bringing that expression of design and comfort and livability, and the passion that comes with it, that connects it all, such that it's not only Rahul's passion for the creation, but it's in the passion of the receiver, the recipient of the product, that really gets to feel the expression of the natural beauty that's been built into the apparel items.
I always say jugalbandi always requires a lot of rhythmic play. There has to be rhythm, there has to be harmony. So I think rhythm is one word which can define sustainability. If you have to define one word, it's rhythm. If you follow pace of nature, speed of nature, whatever you create, it's always going to be sustainable. If I have to, cotton takes its own time to grow. When you work with human hands, through hand loom, through hand processes, tailor it slowly, maybe embroider slowly, you're following nature's rhythm, because hands are again natural tool which is producing it. I think you can't go wrong in creating a sustainable product if you follow the rhythm.
Lovely. We're really looking forward to this very hands-on jugalbandi. Good luck to both of you. And thank you for taking the time to speak to me. And thank you for the audience. I hope you enjoyed the talk as much as we enjoyed chatting. Thank you for being here.